And it's a treat to have this guy on with us, the other retiring member that associated with Ohio State football, and that's Tim May. And Tim, of the Dispatch, I tweeted out that the real reason Urban Meyer's retiring is because he doesn't want to go through a season without you. And,
I wouldn't be surprised, because every season he's ever been at Ohio State, I've been here, and including his two as a graduate assistant. But
yeah,
that makes as much sense as anything else. Not really.
Yeah. First of all, just real. No surprise in your mind? I mean, were you stunned? The timing of it? Did you think it would be later? Did you think he would stick around another year? What was your reaction?
I expected this to be his last year. I was calling people all late last night because, the rumblings were extremely strong. There was some indication that some recruits were getting hinted at that this was going to happen, because that was the main. I think that's as much the main driving force as anything with Urban, was he wanted to be extremely transparent with this recruiting class, which now, the first 14 or 15 guys are going to sign on December the 19th, not February 1st, and he wanted it well known that he was not going to be their head coach, and let them make all their own calls. So anyway, it kind of started with that, and of course, all the people I was trying to call last night, most of them called me back about 6:15 this morning, so they must be early risers. Of course, I knew they were, but yeah, I mean, then it's like just kind of putting it together and making sure you have your I's dotted and T's crossed before you put it out there. But yeah, I mean, but based on my conversations with Urban the last several weeks, couple of months, one foot I felt was already sort of out the door from the standpoint of just trying to figure out what was the timing to do this. And but he had just as easily could have decided to come back for one more year or something like that. It was totally his call, as the old saying goes. And he's decided now's the time to do it.
Tim May is our guest. You can follow Tim on Twitter at Tim_May Sports. Our Twitter poll, my friend, has 1,000 votes right now. And the question is, who do you consider the greatest football coach in Ohio State history? Woody Hayes, Jim Tressel, or Urban Meyer? Woody has 47% of the vote, Urban 43%, Tress 10%. How would you vote?
I think I've told you this before, Bruce, when I've been on your show, your sacred show, a few times. The modern era is different. I mean, back when the '68 team won the national championship, they won 10 games, 9 in the regular season. Yeah. Now, to get to have a chance to play for the championship, you've got to go almost undefeated or have this great year, and then you've got to play for it, And I think the job that Urban Meyer has done over the last 7 years, it's the third winningest well, his winning percentage is third winningest, but what is it? 82-9?
Yep.
I think, as the head coach of Ohio State. That's crazy. He's up there with Newt Rockne and Frank Leahy of Notre Dame fame as the winningest coaches percentage-wise in history. Wow, and he's won 3 national championships, one at Ohio State. But what he's done at Ohio State, I mean, the wins over 7 seasons is ridiculous. So, I'm just looking at it from the inside out. I think this is as great a coaching job as has been at Ohio State. I think Trestle's was tremendous. And, of course, Woody had his down years, but then he had his up years. Urban's down year was not making the college football playoff a couple times.
Yeah. It's ironic. The least wins he had, 11 wins in a season, they did make it that year. Crazy.
Yeah, and this is the most – and this, and we all have seen the Big Ten, the way it has risen back to the 4 from a strength standpoint, et cetera, in the last several years. And a lot of that's the Urban Meyer effect. I think everybody would agree on other teams and other programs to get their act together. They've got the money. There's no excuse. And so anyway, but that's apples, oranges, and pears the way I look at it.
Hey, Tim, I want to ask you, Ryan Day being hired immediately as the head coach. Any surprise in there that a guy, he's 3 games as a head coach. I know they love him. Any surprise that they didn't, look for somebody that had a little bit more experience?
Okay, this isn't the first one of these shows I've done today. I don't know if y'all know that or not. But
I know. You've been rather busy.
But the bottom line, no, what I'm saying here is, what I've told everybody is, look at the Browns. How many former head coaches or rising offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators or whatever they've been through, and they still haven't found the guy. Look at Alabama between Gene Stallings and Nick Saban. All these, me, I grew up an Alabama fan, but all these Alabama fans, these nouveau Alabama fans, think they've been winning great forever. Baloney. And, you can bring in a former head coach who's done really good somewhere else, and he doesn't fit or doesn't get it or doesn't get the job done. I mean, look at Michigan between Lloyd Carr and Jim Harbaugh. And Jim Harbaugh, definitely 0-4 against Ohio State, but they were number 4 in the country at one point this year, et cetera. So he's getting it back on track. My point is, you can really spend a lot of money, time, and effort hoping you got the right guy. This is a guy who took over in the direst of circumstances, in my opinion, at the 1st of August, and leaned on other people, but got the job done. Went 3-0, and as I pointed out to people today, he's the only active head coach right now who is undefeated.
Yeah.
Saban's lost a few games at Alabama, but so they're hiring an undefeated head coach who definitely knows the system, knows the program. He's only been here 2 years, but you've been around him. He's a sharp, smart guy, and he's got a good presence about him. So, we'll see how it goes, but I think you can do a lot worse than just elevating a guy you've already seen step in front of the firing squad and not blink.
Tim, I know you got to run, but before we let you go, is this it for Urban Meyer, or do you think he will resurface after taking a few years off and coach again somewhere?
I don't know. He's got to address this arachnoid cyst is not going anywhere, no matter whether he's fishing. And right. I would think you got to deal with that again, like he did in 2014, and maybe. If they can do any more than that, we'll see. But I would think right now he wants to enjoy life a little bit as much as he can and be with his second grandkids coming up and watch his son play baseball and all this stuff Jerry DiNardo told me about in a story I wrote about him back in the end of October. When he says he's made millions, he's got all this going for him. His legacy is intact. When's enough? Yeah. Well, I think he's decided enough is enough.
Hey, Tim, appreciate it very much, and you enjoy your retirement too, okay?
Well, whenever it starts, gosh almighty.
Exactly. You got a whole new batch of stories to write.
One more trip to Pasadena,
for the Rose Bowl.
But what greater sunsets, and Bruce, both you guys know this, than the sun on the San Gabriel Mountains?
There is not one. That is it. That is the
that should be my last
ultimate
day at work, unless something else happens.
Yeah.
So.
And by the way, Tim is going to join me in studio we have no stand tomorrow, and he's going to join me in studio for an hour tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
Yeah, I'll be sure to gargle.